What's up, guys? It's Fens the Spook, and I hit the lottery, as you can see. Just kidding. If you've read the title of the video, you know what's up. These are facsimile covers, kind of the theme of the video. Something I got into, well, I don't know about got into, but something I had some experience with recently. I had the House of Mystery one. I think you guys have seen it in an old video if you followed the Chronicles of Fens. The Phantom Stranger and the Lois Lane one, I don't think I mentioned those. I picked those up pretty recently. So again, just, right off the bat, all three of these books have no cover. What the covers you're seeing are facsimile covers or reproduction covers. And we're going to look at each one and kind of talk about them. And I'll put a link in the description to a guy who's doing them right now. Once I get the okay to put the link in there, I don't know the exact legality of this, but if you search on a not so small auction site, you should be able to find a fellow making these covers. We'll just leave it at that for now. And they were pretty reasonably priced, and I'm really happy with these. I don't intentionally buy coverless books, but I mean, if you guys know book prices, you know that these books are extremely expensive. The Phantom Stranger for a VG runs about $2,000 to $4,000, probably $3,000 on average. Lois Lane *1, VG, probably about $1,000. House of Mystery *1, I honestly don't even know. I've never seen one. So, those are extremely expensive books in any kind of decent shape. And I was able to acquire these on the, I wouldn't say dirt cheap, but really cheap. So anyway, let's get to it. I'm going to take them down. There'll be a little action in the video while I'm doing this. I'm going to take them out of the bags off camera. This is too awkward for me to do it. And I'll show you the books, and I'll show you the bag, or the covers. And you guys can decide whether it's something you'd like to do or not. Because, I mean, listen, honestly, there's several big books I'd really like to have. Hulk *1, other ones like that. There's no chance I'm going to be able to buy a Hulk *1 in any shape but covered attached, frankly. So there's the Lois Lane *1. This book, man, this might be, excuse me for just 1 second, it's going to sound weird here. This might be the biggest pickup I've had in a long time. Lois Lane *1 is a grail of mine. Even, it's funny because the Phantom Stranger is my favorite character, so you'd think picking up the Phantom Stranger *1 would be, and I guess it should be, but it's not. It's this book. Picking up Lois Lane *1, this is my favorite cover in all of comics. I love this cover. Let's bring it in. Y'all get a peek at it. And again, remember, this is a reproduction cover. It's not a real cover. I mean, this thing's near mint looking, right? It sticks out a little bit. So this was not made by the same fellow I got the other two from. You can see the size is a little bit wrong there. And it's a little bit thicker than the other. So let's go ahead and pop it out. Ooh. There is the actual book itself in the condition I bought it in. Lois Lane *1. Gales. I wasn't really pleased with that either. So Lois Lane *1. Just leave it right there. Bought this at the Daytona show from an older fella selling his collection. I don't remember his name, so it is what it is. But he had a lot of nice stuff, man. He had a lot of ECs and things like that. But my eye keyed right in on this because I saw the price on it. He had it at, like, if I'm remembering correctly, he had it at 800, slashed down to 400, slashed down to 225 or 250. And you can see, man, not only is it coverless, but it has somebody's name on it, and there's actually some tearing right here through the whole book. Like, this book is messed up, dude. And, but, I mean, this book is really expensive. Like I said, a VG is like $1,000. And the only VG I've ever seen of this book for sale was ugly. Like, yeah, you might say, well, how ugly could it be compared to a coverless? Granted, but it just, like, I don't know. The colors were off. Like, it had either been faded or the color strike was wrong. It was at the Coliseum of Comics in Orlando. If you've been there in the last couple of years, you probably saw it. It was on the wall. And somebody I knew bought it, tried to flip it to me, and I just didn't want it. I just didn't want that book. I wanted a better looking copy, or you know what I mean, or a copy that I just felt better about. So anyway, I was at the show. I saw this. I haggled with the guy, but the guy really wouldn't come down. I got it for $200 or $225, I think. which is more than I should have paid. This probably should have been $100 or $150, but it is what it is. And the reason I pulled the trigger is because of the facsimile cover that it came with. That I'm telling you, man, that made the difference to me. Because it's not this like ugly coverless comic sitting in a bag and board, and I'm like trying to show it to my friends like, hey man, I got first Lois Lane, and they're just like, oh, cool, that looks really sweet, dude. You know what I mean? Now, I mean, when my buddy who was with me saw me buy it, he was like, dude, what are you doing? He was like, you can't afford a book that looks like it. He thought it was real. Now, you're not going to fool anyone in a sale, and I would never advocate that you do such a thing anyway. Trying to rip somebody off is you're just a scumbag, you know. You know my opinions on that. You should never try to rip someone off. But, you know, I'm sure it's happened. If you were skilled enough, I'm just showing y'all the inside of them now. If you were skilled enough, look at the ads. Oops, got it the wrong way. Look at the ads, man. He's got the ads and everything. You can even see this one doesn't have the indicia here because the indicia is on the book itself, which you'll see in one of the other ones is not the case. So this is really cool, man. When you slide it back in, again, man, you put this in a bag and a board, and this thing just looks cherry. And it isn't, you know, I mean, and that's the bottom line. Somebody could always say, dude, your book's totally wrecked. You've got a fake cover on there. It's not real. We'll just let that sit. It's not real, blah, blah, blah. No, it isn't, but it looks and it feels so much better to have this cover on there, man. And I've noticed online that coverless with a reproduction cover will sell for about half of good. Good being, you know, the grade good. The price they would sell for in good, the coverless with a repro cover or facsimile cover will sell for about half of good, which, so just ask yourself, man. I mean, again, and this is a personal decision. I'm not implying it's one way or the other, but for me, it's a no-brainer. Would you rather have one that looks like it was run over by a truck, covered in water stains, totally wrecked, totally disgusting to look at? Or would you just rather have one that has a new cover? A book that's been brought back to life. So that's, to me, maybe, you got to be careful now. You saw that bend I just did. That's not good. You can still mess these covers up, and then I'd have to pay for another one. And again, I might get another one on this anyway, simply because, as I showed y'all earlier, it doesn't really fit perfectly. Although, I mean, that's a very minor complaint, to be honest with you, dude. So getting a Lois Lane #1, huge pickup for me. It's just my favorite cover in all of comics. It's just not a book I want to spend $1,000 on. You know, if you said, "Oh, dude, I'll sell you Hulk #1 for $1,000," like I couldn't shake your hand fast enough. But Lois Lane #1, like, But to get one that looks so cherry, I'm just putting it back in the bag, and then we'll look at another one. To get one that looks so cherry for relatively cheap, I couldn't be happier. Now, while I'm opening the next one, just so y'all know, a reproduction cover should include the ads inside. Unless it's an extremely rare book, and the only copy you can get is just front and a back with no interior. I mean, the book I'm about to show y'all, here coming up, again, forgive the off-camera antics here. I just don't like doing stuff like that. It's just difficult for me in the angle I sit. This book right here, if you're looking in the Overstreet, is listed as scarce. This is Phantom Stranger #1 from, I think it's 1952. It's the first appearance of the Phantom Stranger, who is my favorite character in comics. This is a book I never thought I'd own, like simply because I told you a VG's around $3,000, $2,000 to $4,000. They don't show up very often. When they do show up, they usually fetch very high prices, and they usually don't look very good. So the store I work with, the owner got one of these. He got a 4.5. It might be on eBay right now if you want to go look. And I think he's asking $4,000 for it. And he'll probably get it. It won't sell soon, but it'll sell because this is a scarce book. I think I said that earlier and didn't really elaborate. Scarce means, according to the Overstreet, there's less than 250 copies, I believe is the number, maybe 200. How they know that, I don't know. But that's what it says. Supposedly, the designation is scarce means there's less than 250 copies. Some people argue that that's from a time when conventions were the only way, and so it's just based on experience. Like, man, you never ever see that book. Like, there can't be more than 250 copies. Totally conjecture. Now that we have a CGC census and things like that, you can get a better idea. It's still listed as scarce, though, and I will say this is not a book you see very often. I've probably seen it But again, I look for it. See, that's the difference. I looked for this book online. I've seen this book maybe like 2 or 3 times online over my, comic collecting career. Excuse me, having a stroke or something. So anyway, this one is a very rare book. And when I emailed the guy that had the cover made, I said, hey man, can you, I got 2 specific books I need, Phantom Stranger 1 and House of Mystery 1. They're kind of rare. I don't know if you have them. No problem at all. So that's what I was saying. I would never buy a reproduction cover if it didn't have the ads inside. Why? Because if this guy can come up with, again, are these the rarest books ever made? No, like, they're certainly not. There's definitely rarer books than this out there. But, if he can come up with the interiors for these 2, like, I'm sure he can come up with the interiors for something you guys got. So, like I said, I'll leave his information in the bottom, the description, if he gives me the okay. If not, just search the leading auction site and you'll find them. Just use the keywords that you've heard in the video and you'll find them. And he can make you reproduction covers of appears to be damn near anything. They're $20 for a Silver Age cover and $30 for a Golden Age cover. I think that is a steal, man. And I know that y'all are like, some people are going to be like, dude, that's way too much. I would pay up to $100. I wouldn't like it. I would wince at it. It would hurt. But to make my book complete, to make my book whole again, I would pay up to $100. So again, getting these for $30 and getting these to look so sweet is just great. Now, I didn't get this book for $30. There's the indicia. This book cost me $200. Got it on eBay. And again, it's just like the Lois Lane, man. This book goes for so much money in any shape that coverless is about the only way I'm going to swing it. I might have maybe years down the road when I've accrued more money, gone for a better copy. But what's better mean? What's better than coverless? Think about that. The only way I could upgrade this book would be to get like a good minus that just looked like ass. And instead, I paid this fella $30, got this reproduction cover, which I'll pull in here and show y'all. These are a little bit different. These are not, this is the one I got from the fella off the auction site, eBay. You can tell these are a little bit looser. They're more like real comic covers, which I think is what he was going for. To be quite honest, I prefer them to be a little thicker, but I think most people would want them like this. Exactly, I think this is as close to the real paper as you're going to get. It's got the same gloss look as a near mint comic. And the inside are the ads. The original ads. Again, it's an awkward angle. You're going to have to pause it if you want to really look at them. There's an ad for House of Mystery. I think that's really cool. So there's the ads. And when you put these 2 together, you go from a book that you would probably see in a flea market bin and never even give a second thought to, what the eye would tell you is a cherry copy of an extremely rare book. It's not. Again, you're not fooling anyone. You go to sell this book, unless they don't take it out of the package, there is no way anyone's not going to realize what this is. So again, this is not some kind of advertisement to rip somebody off. I really want to emphasize that. Reproduction covers probably could be used to trick someone who doesn't know any better and doesn't check their stuff, but that's absolute scumbag. Don't do that. The only reason you should buy a reproduction cover is just to, again, like the title says, to bring your books back from the dead. I love this, man. I am so happy. I just can't get over this, man. It's so ridiculous that I'm like gushing over coverless books. But they're coverless books of, to me, what are grails. Books that I would never thought I'd own that looked anything like this. You know what I mean? So, and I've had this book coverless for a little while now. And I was really happy to have it. But I didn't like looking at it because the cover was gone. You know what I mean? Like, it was just this ugly looking book in a bag and a board. And now that it has that cover on it, man. And we'll finally wrap this one up with the House of Mystery #1. Actually, I'm going to keep the board up there. That might secure this a little bit better. So there's the House of Mystery #1. I'm going to go ahead and just say from my experience, this book is more rare than the Phantom Stranger #1. Again, that's very, that's nothing scientific there. Small sample size, not statistically significant, blah, blah, blah. Just, experience, you could say. I've never seen this book in the wild. Just never. Not a single time. I've seen it online maybe twice. I've just never, ever seen this book for sale. So, big deal for me. Now, this one, I got a long time ago, and I have shown in other videos. I got this on eBay for $30. The book itself, which is crazy, man. That's just, House of Mystery #1 for $30. Like, coverless, yeah. And some people be like, "Oh, you idiot! Why would you pay that much?" Because it's House of Mystery #1. And I would say to you, unless you're AFTA, who I'm sure will slam dunk on me here, but, otherwise I would just say to you, what does your copy look like? And remember that, y'all. You may have a busted up copy of something, but a lot of times when someone's goofing you, like, they don't have a better copy. They don't have any copy. So keep that in mind. So this is House of Mystery 1. I got this off eBay for $30. You can see there's some I don't know what this is. It is not rust, but it's prevalent through the front and back pages. Some kind of mold spread or something like that. But the book's totally readable. I've shown it off in a different video. I'm not going to go off here. What I'm interested in showing y'all is the reproduction cover. Just such a cool cover, man. I love this. I might just, I don't even know what the best way to do this would be, but I might just take this down to the printers. Whoa. Man overboard. Sorry about that, y'all. I might just take this down to the printers and get a copy for my wall. You know what I mean? I might just take this down to the printers, get a copy printed. There's the interiors. And see here, you can see, because you might have said in the other videos, well, how do you know those are the right ads? Well, he got it here. As you can see, there's the indicia. In this book, it's on the cover. And as you can see, it is not on the book itself. So, I mean, do I know that the ads on the interior of the Phantom Stranger one are correct? No, I don't. I don't have that book to compare it against. But I do know that the indicia of House of Mystery should be on the inside cover, and it was. So that makes me think that this is completely authentic. Again, I couldn't be happier with this. So there we go. Some coverless books. I'm just going to slide it back in its back and board here. Some coverless books. Not cover detached, coverless. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't have the covers. Brought back from the dead. These are my 3 zombie books. My 3 zombie tramps, right, Riggs? And I don't know, man. They are... Jeez, man. These are 3 of my favorite books, and I got to retape them now, but that's all right. They just look so cherry. And they're not for sale, you know what I mean? Again, I know some of y'all are like, dude, you can't, who cares what they look like? They're coverless, blah, blah, blah. I care what they look like. You know what I'm saying? I care. They're like my children, man. And that's a goofy thing to say, but I think some of y'all can get behind me with that. They're like my children, so I do care what they look like. I'm not trying to sell these or make these something they're not. I know exactly what they are. They're beautiful books with facsimile covers, and I could not be happier. So anyway, there we go, guys. Like I said, check it out. See if, I don't know, let me know in the comments. Is this for you? If you saw a mega key that was coverless that you could afford, would you buy it and then put a repro cover on it? Or is this to you just unacceptable Frankensteining books and blah, blah, blah? Again, remember, these covers are not attached, as I showed you on the video. They are loose. I would probably not go through the process of physically reattaching them to the book. I think at that point you are doing a little bit of Frankensteining and you might be guilty of some restoration. At this point, no restoration, just a really nice illusion. Thanks for sticking with me, guys. Thanks for those of y'all holding down the fort while I've been away. Comic Cryptic Castle Hills, Charlton 66, Riggs. Oh, God, there's like 10 others I'm forgetting. But anyway, y'all are awesome. I'm so sorry I've been away for so long, guys. Keep it real. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.